If you're watching this, that means the Steam summer sale has started, so RIP everyone's bank accounts. Today is a Call of Duty Black Ops multiplayer map tier list, including DLC. So this Call of Duty was one of my first ones. I played it all the time as a kid. Really had like an impact, this one being the first one and all the ones to come after. I think like the first one that you play a lot is really nostalgic for you. So I've this one's definitely really nostalgic for me. So I have a lot of opinions about a lot of these maps. Um, so that being said, criteria number one: how does the map look? This game did come out in 2010, so I'm not gonna fault it for having like bad graphics. The graphics were good at the time for sure. But how does the map look? And then number two, flow of the map. So most of these are like the classic Treyarch 3-lane design, which is fine, but some flow better than others. You'll see. And then the last thing is I don't know, how iconic, how did it age? Where does it stand in the grand scheme of Call of Duty? Because I think that's important when we look back at these old games. And the most important thing is comparing map to map within the same game, I think. But you can also compare things in the grand scheme. Anyways, that was like a minute long intro for no fucking reason. First one, Array, C tier. This map was just too big, so that building in the middle was fucking awesome. This map did look pretty sick too. Snow map. They had a lot of snow maps in this game. Bring snow maps back. They had a whole DLC in Battlefield 4 for just snow maps because there weren't any in the base game, which I thought was pretty funny. That was pretty much it. I mean, there's no flow other than that middle building. It was just very spread out. Good for certain game modes, but most game modes it wasn't the greatest. Berlin Wall. I didn't realize what this was at first, but yeah, it's Berlin Wall. Um, it's honestly very similar to Array in terms of it's very spread out for maps of this nature, but I think this one is better because it has the Berlin Wall is pretty iconic and it has like that no man's land shit. I remember you used to like turn up the speed to 120 and try to run through before like the wall killed you, which cool feature of the map. Once again, the 3-lane design. This is called Convoy, I believe. Um, I'm gonna go mid. Very mid map. It's one of those maps that has like the center lane um, is like the focal point, and then there's a perimeter on the outside, which I think flows pretty well. Like I give this map probably an A for flow, but it doesn't look that cool. Convoy is like a cool concept, but I don't know, look wise, it's not there for me, and it didn't age well at all. So it's definitely only B tier. Ooh, cracked. I don't have good feelings about this map, so it's a good idea. It's kind of like a downturn from MW3. Like, good idea just sucks. That's pretty much all it is. There's no flow. I mean, it doesn't look good because it's fucking in ruins, which they get a good job with that, and it didn't age well at all. So yeah, this is not a good map. I'm sorry if you like this map. Crisis. Oh, this is interesting. So for wager matches, I'd put this in S tier, but for mm, I'm gonna go C tier, dude. When you think of this map, you don't like, or when you think of this game, you do not. Crisis does not come up. So it's kind of like two maps in one, which I think is good and bad. So it hurts the flow to the map. Number one, when you have two sides like that, and then the other thing that's good about it is it keeps the map fresh. I guess you could play on two different sides of the map. For wager matches, the entire like island side was cut off, right? So it's just this like building area, which was cool. That's the one good thing it has going for it. It looks alright too. Discovery. This is an A tier map. So this map looks fucking awesome. It has like the aurora and stuff in the background. Snow map, which historically don't look the greatest, but I think it looks good. And the flow was decent. This was borderline being too spread out for this game, but I think it had good enough flow that it kind of made up for it. It wasn't like Array where there was just no flow or cracked. I think it had like a decent amount of flow to it, and this is a map that I do think of when I think of this game, like DLC maps, DLC map wise. I don't remember which DLCs these all came out in, but I know which ones are DLC and which one aren't. Like the next one, Drive In, dude. I think this one's tough. I'm gonna put it in mid. It's a very mid map. It looks cool. Driving is a sick setting to be at. But there's just not good flow to it. It had like the one big open area that like no one went to, and then you basically everyone just played around the edges of the map, which is how you should play normally. But this one didn't have the option really to go in the middle. So yeah, that's why it's B. First S tier of the day, easy firing range. So it's always the smaller maps that get remembered. And this was one of the smaller maps in the game, and it did have the classic 3 lane, and it just had superior flow. Man, you could go any of the 3 lanes and have fun and enjoy it. There's that big crow's nest in the middle for camping. That was fucking awesome too. Uh, what's this one called? Grid. Dude, I think I'm gonna another fucking snow map in A tier. Who would have thought? Mm, I'm gonna put it in B actually. So the reason it's gonna be in B, so it looks average at best. Like there's nothing special about this setting. It's kind of cool with like the grid, I guess, in the background. But the reason it's down here is because the flow was not the greatest in my opinion. It had a few buildings, but it just felt weird running through. And it didn't really age that well. You don't think of this map, which is why firing range and like Nuketown, which we'll get to, obviously, um, are going to be the higher rating ones because that's what you think of when you think of this game. So actually, this is another one. Ooh, do I put this in S? This is another one I think of when I think of this game. Is Hangar 18? That's what it's called. Just because of the giant blackbird in the middle, that's like fucking awesome. The setting is sick. This gets an S for setting. Flow was decent too, so yeah, this is an easy A tier for me. It is just like this is an easy D tier. Hanoi, this is the worst base map. It's worse than Cracked. Uh, the worst base map in the game. It's fucking dark. Like it doesn't look good at all. There's no flow to it, and it's a city in Vietnam. Like, it's just bad map. If you like that map, I got some questions for you. Havana, that's a very mid map. I was gonna put it lower because I hate the flow of it, but it looks cool. It's in Havana, obviously. So setting, yeah, it's really cool setting, but the flow brings it down, and it is pretty iconic because I mean I think of that whole like Cuban theme when I think of Black Ops and the campaign, so it does have that going for it. I think it's called Hazard. Um, I almost put this one higher because it's on a golf course. That's fucking hilarious if you ask me for a multiplayer map. Like who at Treyarch conceptualized the golf course as a multiplayer map, but I think it worked. It was pretty open, but it did have some enclosed areas. It was kind of like driving, where there's like the big open area that people kind of avoid, and you just end up playing around the edges. So um, it is what it is. That's why it's mid. Otherwise, it'd probably be higher. Hotel. I'm gonna go A for this one. Whatever it was, dude, it's kind of like Nuketown, where it had like the two buildings across from each other that people like ran in, but it was bigger. And this map did have good flow. It looked fucking cool. Like the color scheme in this map was awesome. It reminded me of Miami from Black Ops Cold War, or Miami from Black Ops Cold War reminded me of this map. Even though that map sucked in Cold War, probably do a tier list of that one eventually. But yeah, no, good flow. Looks good, and it aged well. Jungle. This is a tough one. Hmm. I'm gonna go A. I thought this map did age really well. They remade it, I think, in Black Ops 4. Had like the giant rock up there that everyone camped at. This broken bridge across running through the middle. So there's like the map did really well at layering in the middle of the map. Had multiple levels, which I think improved the flow a fuck ton. And this is another one of those maps where you play around the edges most of the time, which you should strategically. And in Treyarch 3 lane map design, it makes it easier. But this one just did it so much better, in my opinion, than some other maps. So easy A tier, and it looked cool. It was in the jungle. Kowloon. I was gonna put it in D, but I don't want to disrespect it. It is actually a decent map. The flow kind of sucks, but it did look cool. Didn't really age well. I mean, that's pretty much all I have to say about this one. Definitely not a preferred map for me. Launch. This one's tough too. At the end of the day, I think this map's mid. So, good idea. It's at like a launch pad. Um, yeah, it flows decent. It has like the middle area, but the middle area was done pretty well. You know, you cross it at multiple levels. There's good layering at the launch pad itself. Some depth there. Yeah, just probably the definition of a mid map. Rocket launch was cool though. I don't really need to say anything about Nuketown. I mean, this is the possibly the greatest multiplayer map in Call of Duty history. It's been remade too many times to fucking count. It's the smallest map in this game, just iconic, and like the end scene where the end cut scene where it nukes it, just fucking awesome, man. This is just sparks so much nostalgia in people. When you think of Black Ops, you think of this map, and it's just great. Like you just there's no negativity surrounding this map whatsoever, which is why I love it so much. Everyone loved this map. Even people who don't even play video games anymore who played this game, like, yeah, I know Nuketown. So I think it's the great unifier of all gamers. You know, we argue, you know, we're toxic, but this map, no toxicity, just all love. Radiation, that is another mid map. It's a lot similar to Launch. The dynamic trapdoor in the middle was kind of cool. The colors were kind of meh. So it didn't look the greatest, and it had a solid flow to it. It had like the underground area in the middle, and then the edges. So there was some like leveling. But at the end of the day, it's mid. Sorry, I was taking a drink. Silo, another mid map. I can't really like say anything bad about it. I mean, it just didn't stand out. It didn't have a great color scheme. It didn't look the greatest. Had okay flow. I did remember like one of my highest kill streaks was on this map, so I did like playing it, but it doesn't stick out from the bunch, so got to put in the middle. Stadium, I'm gonna go A here. So I might be biased because I had I had a cross map tomahawk on this map in Search and Destroy. It like the ping on the servers was like terrible. Like it helped me out so fucking much. It like I threw it and it just curved into the guy. But it was kind of like disappointing that you couldn't go inside of the stadium. Um, but it's not too terrible to me that you couldn't. I really enjoyed the flow of this map too, and it wasn't too big. Definitely a faster paced map. Dude, what's this map called? Stockpile. Yeah, okay. If that doesn't tell you, I don't even remember like how this map played. To be honest with you, it was probably my most forgotten map in this game because I couldn't remember the fucking name of it. Stockpile. Yeah. I couldn't tell you about the flow. It doesn't look that great. It's just a snow map, so it's hard to do snow maps well. Speaking of snow maps, Summit. Dude, I think people overrate this map. Um, the coolest part about this map was definitely the big middle building. I think that had great flow to it, with the different levels and it being like the centerpiece of the map. That was fucking awesome. But the outskirts of it just kind of sucked. Honestly, they're just kind of mid. So if it was like the middle building and they like improved upon like the outside, it'd definitely be A or S. They did remake it, so it was a good map actually. But I mean, anything probably here or higher you could remake, and I wouldn't be mad at. Villa, I'm putting this in C because I had to think for a second what the name was, and that should tell you something. It didn't really have good flow at all, to be honest. Like probably one of the worst in terms of flow, but it did look decent. I think it's a cool idea. This the entire theme of Black Ops was just kind of cool with Cuba largely. WMD. Dude, I might put this in fucking S tier. Yeah, we're doing it. This map was great. It was probably the best. Yeah, it was the best snow map. No, the flow was awesome to it. It had the big building like kind of in the middle, but it also had like the walkway up here and this the separate building connected or not connected to it, but across from it. Had good levels in the middle, good leveling, good spacing, and then yeah, it had the middle area, but it wasn't like as pronounced as a map like Drive-In or Hazard. It was a little smaller, and people could actually run through it because there wasn't like that many spots overlooking it. If there were spots overlooking it, they're in the open. So I think there was good parity in this map. That's the main reason I put it in S because it looked decent and it had good flow. And then just the parity of this map, no one could really like become too overpowered in one spot, which I loved. Zoo. Ooh, I kind of like this map. I'm gonna have to put it in B, dude. The colors are just terrible on this map. It's so drab and gray. It's like Hanoi, bro. Hanoi. Okay, not gonna even compare the two because that's disrespectful to Zoo. But yeah, the colors didn't look good, but the flow was good, and it's a cool setting at a zoo. So that's why it's a mid map. So looking at this list, I think this is solid. I think my hottest take was definitely Summit being mid. Um, and my coldest take was Nuketown, obviously. See, that's the thing about this game. Say what you will. This is regarded as one of the best games, one of the best Call of Duties ever by some people, which it could be driven by nostalgia, which is fair. You got to factor nostalgia, but I think it was just the setting, like the Cold War era setting, Vietnam era setting was just fucking cool, and the guns were pretty good too. So I don't know. These maps were good as well. It was the classic, well, the patented now, not really patented, but the 3-lane design. So they were all like very similar in terms of that, but they did play very differently. So, anyways, that's my Call of Duty Black Ops tier list, multiplayer maps. Take it or leave it.